Good morning, Pippadot. Meant to have a good chatter on this morning. Her name's 20. She's just an awesome person that everyone will love. Well, good. Hope everyone out there is staying warm. It is cold as hell here. -12 right now, according to my weather app on my computer, with the wind chill factor. It is -2 right now. As you can see, I'm not in my studio. I am in my living room. Knock, knock. Who's there? Twyla Johnson. Good morning, Twyla Johnson, and welcome to this morning's crime recap show, Coffee Brew. I'm glad you could be here with us. Staying in today, Pippadot? Don't blame you at all. Good morning, Mike and Kevin. Good morning. I hope you are all able to stay, warm wherever you are this morning. I'm doing the best I can here. Gemma, good morning. Yeah, in my studio, even with my heat pump going at full blast, I had the thing cranked up to 90. It still can't keep up with the, everything. And I was worried that I'm going to overload it. Don't want to blow that thing out. Might need it. But anyways, so I was like, nope, I'm just going to move this inside. We're sitting next to the fireplace. So, fireside chat. Good morning, Kitty Q. Welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew crime recap show. As normal, I'll give it about 5 minutes into this, and then we'll get everything going. But I want to wait for everybody to get a chance, get their notifications, and log on. And Mike Stevens, so what was I just saw your message and it went flying by here. Hold on, let me scroll up. Mike said, Kanda Kra. Good morning to you as well. Allah Akbar, Mike. Allah Akbar. Twyla is your bestie? Well, I welcome Twyla here as well. Inner Peas and Cement Shoes. Haven't seen either one of them yet this morning, but I'm sure they'll be along shortly. They very seldom miss any of them. How am I, Gemma? Cold. Very cold. I had to pick up all this stuff from my studio and bring it in here just so I could do this. Good morning, Inner Peas. Welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew. Yeah, I'm going back and forth. We have like barely a dusting of snow, but we are getting nailed with, according to the National Weather Service, this is once in a lifetime of cold weather. They haven't seen temperatures recorded this low in my area since 1931. So, I mean, we normally get down into the teens at night during the summer and winter months because I live in what's called a high desert plateau, and so it's common to have teens temperatures 16, 18 degrees somewhere in there, but we are at -2 right now, and with the wind chill factor, as you can see by the scroll, it is -12. We have sustained winds of 10 miles an hour right now with gusts up to 24. And I am in Washington State, Twyla. But I'm used to the temperature somewhat from when I was younger. Born, and raised in Wisconsin. You get used to it. But not out here. I remember the winter of 31. Do you, Mike? The winter of 31. Boy, is it cold. I mean, that you add that wind in, and it just cuts right through you. There is nowhere to stay warm outside. We are going down to -4 here tonight. Ooh. It says the low temperature tonight here is -7. Southern Indiana here, 22 degrees. Well, you stay warm. Stay inside where it's safe. All right, I'm going to get this morning's coffee brew up on the screen here, ladies and gentlemen. Now, this coffee brew, of course, we do this every Saturday morning at 8 a.m., 11 a.m. Eastern time. But I got to get myself in my little window here. Hold on. Wait for it to. There I am. Will in his little window. All right. The first case today that we're going to talk about is Pamela Reed from Ohio. She faked her daughter's cancer. Daughter doesn't have cancer. She faked her cancer to collect money from different, social organizations and state agencies. Okay, you might be wondering, what does Pamela Reed look like? Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Pamela Reed. And let me read you the press release for Pamela Reed. Pamela Reed is age 41 and is from Ohio. And she has been charged with theft by deception after allegedly faking her 7-year-old daughter for having cancer. According to a statement by Noble County Sheriff's Office, Pamela Reed has been publicly portraying her daughter to be fighting cancer. Several local organizations had participated in fundraising efforts and had made monetary contributions to help the family offset medical expenses, the police statement added. They also noted one local organization had donated $8,000 to the family to aid in cancer treatment expenses. This is for traveling expenses to and from the hospital so her daughter could get, an experimental chemotherapy. After obtaining information, Sheriff Mackey, along with detectives with Child Services, began to investigate into the allegations, where they were able to confirm the child did not have cancer and they had never been to a cancer center. They weren't even, each time that they traveled back and forth between their hometown and where this cancer center was that she was supposedly getting treatment at, they never even visited the hospital. They went there and went and saw movies. They went out to eat. They went on shopping trips, but they never even went to a hospital. The Iowa woman who claimed to have, sorry, I skipped a section there, added in a statement that they had received almost $13,000 from Make-A-Wish Foundation and had reached out to contact the individual that this little girl wanted to make her wish with. They thought they were told that this was end of life care and that the experimental cancer treatment was not working. An Iowa woman who claimed to have had cancer online scammed paid almost $39,000 in restitution following her January 8th arrest. Reed admitted during questioning that she had exaggerated and fabricated medical conditions to receive monetary donations from local organizations. At the time when she came up with the cancer scam for her daughter having cancer, her daughter actually did have the flu. She was subsequently charged with theft and by deception felony in the 4th degree, and her bond has been set at $50,000. Pamela Reed's Facebook page still reads, "Our ray of sunshine," and please donate. And the link to a GoFundMe is there for Abby Reed. And it says that she was diagnosed in October of last year with having, cancer, and a hog feed and other social events to raise money for her daughter had been planned for January and February of this year. And again, she told everyone that her daughter was in end of life care. But this is one of the cases that I've been following this past week, and I've been waiting to see if they actually arrested her. And after I put the actual this part together, they did arrest her, and of course they set her bond at $50,000. All right, next one is dumbass, and I can say that, and that's not slander. Jared Lasik from Oregon. He has a new court date coming up, and he has been blocked from Facebook for filing any more takedown notices against creators or other people who he may feel is disparaging against him. And bring dumbass's face up on the screen. So Jared Lasik has a new court date coming up in February. Now, his court date is set for February 21st at 9 a.m. If he has an attorney or not, he must appear in court on the charges that he has in Utah for what he did with the hard R word to his relative back 30 years ago. You commit a crime like that, you still have to be punished for it. Him and his attorneys had originally filed that they believed that the statute of limitations had run out, but unfortunately for dumbass, he actually forgot that they had passed a state law that made it so there is no statute of limitations on sex crimes of this nature against the juvenile under the age of 16. In his actual court filings, it should be noted that his attorneys did not dispute the fact that he actually did it. His attorneys only disputed the fact that they believed the statute of limitations ran out. And then shortly after he did not dispute the actual allegations against him in court, he fired both of his attorneys, and the court case was then set for in the future. Now, again, if he doesn't show up with his actual attorneys on the 21st, I think it is, of February, he still has to be there in person either way. There is no getting out of this one. He has to be there. And according to what I've read online, he has already notified the current members of AWP that he will not be there the couple of days prior to the 21st and the couple of days after. So he's taking off a total, it looks like maybe 5 days. And this is a preliminary hearing. He will not, actually, be put in jail. He's already bonded out. So on the case right now. All right, next is Seth Carney's. This is out of Texas, arrested in connection with killing his mother and father. It's a double homicide case. His father, Bert Carnes, was a former sitting judge. And get his dumbass face on the screen. This is him. Texas officials are investigating a double homicide of former district court judge Bert Carnes and his wife, Susan Carnes. This past Tuesday, the couple's 45-year-old son, this is Seth B. Carnes, was taken into custody and transported to Williams County Sheriff's Office, where he was questioned but refused to answer some questions for authorities. According to the press release, the Williams County Sheriff's Office deputies responded to a 911 call reporting a shooting at 11:45 this past Monday at a residency near Georgetown, Texas. When deputies arrived at the scene, they encountered Seth exiting the residency with a rifle in his hand. Per the press release, Seth Carnes confessed to deputies that he had just shot and killed his mother and father. Yeah, he admitted it. But again, he is refusing to answer questions on this case right now. Both victims were 74 years old and were located inside the residency about 4 feet from each other. There has been some statements that they're kind of contradictory how far they were from each other, but If you take the average of them all, it's about 4 feet. The preliminary investigation suggests that the murders resulted from a disagreement that escalated into the family violence and death, according to the press release. The sheriff's office added that there is no threat to the public, safety at this time. And in case you're wondering about good old Seth Carnes, the idiot on the screen here, he has had a history of run-ins with law enforcement throughout his life. But nothing of this nature. So now, answer questions that anyone may have about these three. These are the only ones that I've been following this past week. I'm sure there's been other ones, that other people have been following, but these are the cases that I've been following on, and that I may have videos coming out here really quick, but I do have one video that gets released today. Turtle Man. Chad Daybell. In case you're wondering about Chad Daybell, John Pryor, his attorney of record in the homicide case there in Idaho, has filed with the state of Idaho to be released from the case. Chad Daybell has been determined to be indigent, which means he has no means to actually pay for a private attorney at this time, and that he needs a court-appointed attorney or in the state there, or thus to pay John Pryor to stay on the case. But it's a formality. He needs to file and say that he's removing himself from the case. Then the court is going to say, well, at this point, we're going to have to point you back to it, because we're not going to start back over at zero. We're going to appoint you, and then we're going to put a co-counsel on with you as well, and then pay both of those attorneys. Plus, they'll have to bring in a third attorney, because the state of Idaho is seeking a capital murder charge against Chad Daybell. So they have to have one attorney that is just for the capital murder section of the actual case itself. So and of course, you, the taxpayers, in the state of Idaho, if you're in the state of Idaho, you will actually have to foot the bill for all of that. You might be wondering, what happened to the estate of Chad Daybell and Tammy? Well, in order for Chad Daybell to actually hire John Pryor originally, he signed away the rights to the family farm and property in the estate to John Pryor, so he could put a lien against the property of value up to a certain amount. So let's just say, hypothetically, the farm, the house, the property, tractors, or any out equipment is worth $300,000. Let's just hypothetically say that. All right. John Pryor put a lien against the property for up to $300,000. And then from day one of Chad Daybell's arrest, it has been ticking away the cost of not only John Pryor for his actual hourly rate, but any investigators, any work that he needed to have done besides that, filing fees, everything else. All that goes onto a total bill, and that's been racking up, and it's finally hit that maximum of the lien that he has against the entire estate. So unless his kids can come up with a couple $100,000, probably a hell of a lot more than that, there is no money to pay John Pryor and to be, privately hired. Now the state is going to step in and start paying it. In case you're wondering, again, additionally, when it comes to the rate that an attorney is paid via private, hire, there's one rate John Pryor might be being paid. I don't know for sure, but the average is about $100 to $150 an hour is what he's actually being paid as a private attorney. The state only pays about $86 an hour on average. So it's a far lower, amount. Now, if he says to the state after he's removed himself from the case, I'm not taking $86 an hour, he can apply to a special fund with the state to make up that difference between 86 and 150, but he's not going to get the $150 an hour. he can't apply. So the state says, okay, here's the minimum. We're going to pay maximum we're going to pay is $86 an hour. And then there's a separate fund that every single attorney in the state of Idaho who is practice law, they pay into this fund every single year. And that makes up the difference. All right. So it's not going to make up the whole 150 because they're going to say, okay, look, you're going to need a co-counsel. You know, we figure out the two of you guys together. How about we pay you $100 an hour? That's how it works in the state of Idaho. Now, additionally, on top of that, they're not going to have the money to be able to put into hiring experts and everything else. They're going to still have money so they can hire experts to dispute the evidence against Chad, but they're not going to have like O.J. Simpson kind of defense money where you can hire an endless amount of experts who are paid top dollar to actually come to court and dispute these charges. But good morning, Gayla. And yes, either way, society is going to pay for this. If he hires if he has public defender or a private attorney, in this case, we're going to pay because he goes to prison. Let's just say tomorrow afternoon, the whole thing with Chad Daybell is settled, and he's found guilty of 3 counts of first-degree murder, and they send his butt off to prison. It costs almost $1 million, total to help him fight his actual defenses, and that is on the actual taxpayers as well. And then there's the food, medical, everything else, the lodging, everything that he needs is going to be supplied for by you, the taxpayers of the state of Idaho. That's how it works. That's the system we have. Like it or not, he is afforded, a defense and the ability to defend himself because he is innocent until proven guilty. We all, here in the public, say, look, Chad's guilty. He's a dumbass. He's a turtle boy, whatever you want to call him. But he is innocent until proven guilty, and he has that right to be able to defend himself on these charges. Chris Cast, good morning, and welcome to this morning's Coffee Brew. But and this happens in every state too. There might be differences in each state on how an attorney is paid and compensated as a public defender versus a private attorney. I have a friend of mine who is a public defender for, I think he was a public defender for 10 years before he went into private practice, and then after private practice, then he became a sitting district court judge. But in that 10-year period while he was a public defender, I mean, they're so overworked. There's not enough time to be able to give each and every one of the clients, that he has in front of him, the best possible defense. And a lot of people, like it or not, they plead guilty just because they want the case over with and they want to go back to their lives. So people plead guilty to, this simple defense or drunk driving or whatever, instead of fighting and taking it to the maximum to a court trial, with a sitting jury or a bench trial with just a judge. They say, look, I just want this over with. What's my total penalty that I'm looking at for this? And even if they're guilty or they're innocent, and in the state of Massachusetts, if you're there, or is it Pennsylvania, where they just threw out 27,000 DUI cases from 2011 through 2019 because the state admitted that their breathalyzer testing and everything else was wrong through that entire time. 27,000 DUI cases. And of those 27,000 cases that they just threw out there, 90% of them never even took it as far as, okay, I'll just plead guilty. They never took it to, a bench trial. They never took it to, a jury, nothing. They just pled guilty because they wanted the case over with. And people lost jobs. People had their entire lives destroyed over that, these convictions. And on top of that, there's the financial loss. So if you didn't lose your job in those cases, people paid higher car insurance rates, or they got denied a promotion or what, these things happen in real life in those cases. But back to, Turtle Boy in Idaho, he's afforded the defense, like I said, and the taxpayers have to pick up that bill. If it would have been brought to federal court, when it comes to a federal court, me and you, we all in the United States as taxpayers and citizens, we all pay when it comes to a federal case for the defense, unless they have the ability to pay, for a private attorney, which costs a lot more money on the federal level. And again, when it comes to the federal courts, in case you're not aware of it, the federal courts have a 97% success rate at when they prosecute someone of getting a conviction. The federal government, because they have an endless pocketbook, because they're spending our tax dollars. How'd you golf in the tournament last week? Kitty Q, we finished, I think, fourth out of 36. So just outside the money, and everything else. But I didn't do that bad. It could have been nicer out, and ground was not to my liking. It was a little soggy, but come and go. But thank you for asking. Oh, thank you, Pip. I try to be on top of everything. I haven't heard anything happening with the disappeared. What happened? Oh, there must be. Shud, no money. Johnny says bye. Calilisa, good morning. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Why can't we all just get along? How tragic, killing your own parents. Yeah, it happens. Tune in this weekend for, tomorrow for trivia night. And that's at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Trivia. We play live trivia here on YouTube. 20 questions, and all of the questions are on domestic homicide and family killers. And you'll learn a lot more about it. 31 away from 400 supporters. Well, I hope you get it, Gemma. Talented in many ways. Well, thank you, Gayla. I appreciate that. We're planning on covering. Did it cut the message off, Gemma? I have no idea why it cut the rest of your message off. I can actually see there's like an S, and then it just cuts it off the rest of the message. I have no idea why I did that. What do you think about the roommate waiting so long to call police for the house with her? Not sure which one which case that is. Pippadot, I'm not going to miss the trivia this week. Well, good. I'm staying inside. We might do the trivia right here where I am right now, because I can still pull it up on the screen either way. Oh, Shonda Von Ark case. Oh, that's an interesting case. I'm not sure why. Some people go into shock, and and they just don't understand what's going on around them. They can't comprehend it mentally. Heard Alex Murdoch make it in. Yeah, Alex Murdoch. I said before that there's. I don't believe he's going to get a new trial, but it does leave open the avenue for appeal for him to actually get a new if they don't grant him a new trial right now. All right. It definitely opens up the avenue for him to appeal his conviction. But he's not going anywhere because he was convicted on the financial frauds on top of it all. So even if they throw out the murder trial, and the conviction and everything else, he's going to die behind bars, a penniless, fool. So I've kind of moved on from Alex Murdaugh, just on that basis, because we already knew about the financial crimes, and that was just like, what kind of defense are you possibly going to put up for that? And he didn't put up much of a defense when it came to the financial crimes, because he was guilty. Everybody, was right there. His own law firm had all the paperwork that showed, hey, he had been siphoning money out from and not paying, verdicts that were supposed to be paid out to his clients. And all attorneys have to pay for that, in the end. How can he get DoorDash? Who? Alex Murdaugh? I don't know. Corrupt prison guards. What you mean during the actual trial itself? How did they get DoorDash? Well, there was a couple different reasons why they actually catered out, and it wasn't necessarily him who called DoorDash. It was the actual court system. If that's what you're talking about, Murdaugh. He gets it in prison. Well, I'm sure he's greasing the squeaky wheel, as they say. Then, as you guys pointed out there, Callie Lisa put up corrupt prison guards. Yeah, I don't think if he's getting DoorDash, if that's really factual, then there's a lot of people who are going to get their butts in a sling and in trouble over that. But has that actually been factually proven? I'd have to look into it more. I've heard some talk about it. He has no soul. He's just a meat sack. Yeah. Well, but things like that happen a lot. I mean, a lot more than they like to. Do you think Elizabeth killed her parents? I don't know, Mike. I'd have to look into it more before I could give you an opinion on that. But back to the the DoorDash thing, you have to be able to prove things like that. Just because DoorDash showed up at the prison, or the jail or the courthouse, who ordered them, who actually paid for it, all that stuff is traceable. And if they really did, allow him with his own, credit or debit card, which should have been all locked up, because I don't know of any DoorDash though that accepts cash. I'm sure there probably is small areas out there that have DoorDash and Uber where they accept cash, on the receiving end. But a lot of it is like done online, so it'd be easy to prove. You would think through the bank, and why wouldn't his accounts have been, seized at that point? Because all of his other assets have been seized. That Murdaugh has. Murdaugh. So they're not supposed to get DoorDash. He did. Well, I will look into it, Callie Lisa, if he really did. But my question from the outside looking in would be, how did he actually do it? How was it his debit card or credit card or account that was used to order DoorDash? Did he actually pay for it, and did he receive the actual benefit of that item on the other end? Those are three questions that all have to be answered. Did he order it? Was it his card or his account? And did he receive actual benefit? What's to say, just spitting this out hypothetically here, let's just say that there's a corrupt guard at the prison itself who found out what his DoorDash account was, and he ordered DoorDash and had it billed to Alex. Would that be Alex, getting the benefit? No. It would be against Alex, against his card. But if he didn't get the food, he didn't get the service, that'd go against that one person who actually got the food, who actually got the service. Yeah, I mean, there could be a lot of things like that happen. It could be a mistake that and that someone else is reporting that that he got DoorDash, and it's a Murdoch who's another person who actually works there, because it's actually not as uncommon of a last name as you might think. At the actual prison. And you can go on to your DoorDash or Uber Eats account and edit your actual name. I mean, I know people who have gotten things delivered, to Superman or Batman. It's just like making your name up here on YouTube in the comment section. You can be whoever you want. If you want to be, I want to be Batman. You can be Batman, or you can be that Spider-Man on the shelf over there. You could be Spider-Man. So, good morning, Gianna Marie. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. But all that, like I'm saying, it has to be proven that it was him. And then on top of it, else, there are people who have made up things like this in the past. Maybe not DoorDash or Uber Eats or whatever, but people have done it. My cat is looking to jump up here in front of the computer in the camera. He's just staring at me. Want to say hello? Come here. All right, everyone. This is Ghosty. Say hello, Ghosty. He's a good boy. I'd bring the other ones up, but they're all in the living room here sleeping. They don't go too far from me because, well, normally I either feed them or my wife does early in the morning. They always have dry food they can eat, but I feed them canned food in the morning. It's flake tuna, actual cat food. It's not like I buy a can of tuna and open it, but I mean, it's still good for them. And there he is. He wants on my lap now. He's like, you petted me. You got to love me. You got to love me. Hold on. Ugh. There. Now you can sit on my lap. He wants cuddles. Yeah. This cat will, even if it's you tell them my order is 4140. This cat likes to be on your lap regardless if he's cold or not. Most mornings while I'm sitting at the desk on the other side of the house, he jumps up on my lap and just chills. Or he'll lay on just in front of the computer, so I have to reach over to get to the keyboard. He lays between the monitor, then there's a keyboard, and he'll lay in the area that where it's like the what do they call it, like palm rest, like it's like a gel soft thing. He likes to lay his head on that thing because it's nice and cool. This is how armchair started. Really? The only difference is I only talk about things that can be factually proven. But I have a video that's coming out later on this afternoon. I think it comes out at 1:00 this afternoon about Turtle Boy. So that's at 1:00 this afternoon, I believe. It might be 11. I have to check, but I can't right now because I'm obviously not on my computer in my studio. Lap kitty, yeah. Are you a lap kitty? Oh, ghosty. He's a heavy kitty. He's definitely a heavy kitty. Yeah. Why don't you say hello to people? Hi, I'm Ghosty Pie. I'm Ghosty. I'm Ghosty. Oh, thank you, Gianna. Oh, now he wants down. Got 4 more in this room right now. There's over there is Cream, but they're all sleeping. Cream is there. Mocha is where'd he go? Mocha is around somewhere. And then Jelly Belly. Oop, now he's up behind the monitor. Ghosty. Ghosty's over there. Can't see it. I can't pick up this entire thing and move it to show you all of them. But good morning, Short and Ice. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. I could probably take this scroll off of here. There. That's mainly because I want to let everybody know I'm obviously not in my studio. I'm in my living room. But also, if my son comes in the room, the camera goes off. You can still hear me. The microphone will still be on, but the camera goes off. Mocha, I'll drink that. Yeah, Mocha he's a big boy. He was over here on the couch, but he's somewhere else now. Might be on one of the other chairs on the side here. I can't see him. He's a big cat, a heavy cat. 65. Good morning. Currently covering UK courts. Who is part of the international hacker is getting charged to a hospital. Huh. Sounds interesting, Gemma. Good morning, Deb. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. I hope you're able to stay warm wherever you are this morning. It is -2 degrees right now where I am, and Sherry, good morning as well. But it is -2 here with the windshield factor is -12. So I moved out of my studio inside in my living room. But we're here because, well, it's too damn cold. The rent is too high, and it's too damn cold. Good morning, Goldie. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Why the hoodie? Is it cold there? Oh, yeah. Well, it's -2 outside. I mean, I could take it off, but of course, static cling messes up my hair. Now it looks like my alfalfa, see how it's sticking up in the back? Just keep it on. Mel. Good morning, Mel. And welcome to this morning's coffee brew. I am, but it really isn't that cold. In Canada? Oh, Will's ill. And my ears are cold. My whole body. I was outside for like 30 minutes, and I've been here inside now for 40 minutes, and I'm still chilled. I'm like shaking cold. I'm just not built for cold weather anymore. I'm gonna have to move someplace like the tropics or something. I ain't going anywhere. Have you been keeping up with Gypsy Rose? A little. that I know she's out of prison. She's remarried. Well, she's not remarried. She's married. Um, her, her ex, who is on the autism spectrum himself, who she got to kill her mother. She dumped him like a hot coal. And she's got a book out, and she's apparently been signed to a not necessarily a lecture circuit, but a circuit to actually start talking about her life. She's going to be, and this is where she's getting paid to actually do presentations and talk about her book. And she will be doing limited book signings at those events. Then no, they won't be at like Barnes and Noble or stores like that. They will be in larger capacities where they can get people in, because the internet in the world out there is clamoring for more information about Gypsy Rose and how her life has been now that she's been, what she plans on doing. So I've been following it. It's just there's just not a lot there. I mean, leading up to the point where the trial and when she killed her mom and why she did it, that was interesting, at least to me. What she's doing now, I could care less, really. I just hope she puts together some kind of facet of a normal life and is happy. And, it's easy to look back on the Gypsy Rose situation and say she didn't have to kill her mother, but you have to understand, from a young age on, that woman mentally screwed her over, making her think that she was close to death's door and that she was just, a little bit longer and she was going to die, and that she couldn't do anything. She couldn't have a normal existence. She robbed her of her childhood, her young adulthood. She was robbing her of everything that makes an individual, what she liked, what she liked to wear, what she liked to listen to. Everything was stolen from her. And then she finds out that this woman had made everything up. Yeah, and people want to point out, well, she could walk the whole time. She didn't have to be in a wheelchair. She knew that, but she didn't know how long she could walk or how far she could walk because her mother controlled every aspect of her life. Now think about yourself as if you're female, born genetically female, okay? Growing up and all, the changes you go through your life up to a young woman, and her mother controlled everything about that, every aspect of her life. Yeah. By Munchausen syndrome, true. But if somebody messed with you like that and then you found out that it was all a lie, you'd lose it too. It is. And those are the things that people don't get over that. You don't just go, hey, you know what? That person's been messing with me, for 40 years and or 20 years or 10 years or whatever it's been. You don't just get over that and say, you know what, I'm okay. I'm going to move on with my life and go a different course. I mean, that's lifetime of even now for Gypsy, she's going to have to deal with that the rest of her life. That's pretty sad and messed up at the same time. Now, why would her mother do it? You have to ask that question. I mean, she may have had a motive in the beginning, but what was her motive later on? When she could have let it all go and say, hey, look, you're cured. Boom. And just let her go. She didn't want to let her go. She wanted her dependent upon her for everything. $11 years. Well, congratulations, Gemma. A lifetime of therapy? Oh, yeah. Martin W. Good morning, Martin. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. Hope you are staying safe and warm wherever you are today, Martin. Money, fame, But I think when it came to her mother, I think it was a lot deeper than that. I think it was more emotional than anything else. She had gotten to the point where she liked the fact that that Gypsy Rose needed her for everything. If you know that that your importance in this world is because someone needs you every aspect of their life. You get into that routine where you're like, okay, you feed into it. It may be emotionally draining for you, but then there's the side of she made all that up, to keep her there, to keep her, dependent upon her. She loved the attention. Yeah. Addiction. Yeah. Short nights. Addiction, definitely. Her mother sounds like a narcissist. Mm, I don't know about narcissism, Gemma, but she definitely has, her mom definitely had, a couple of screws loose upstairs. It's late in the afternoon here and it's cold. Martin, it is, let me push, it is currently only 1 degree. Yeah, 1 degree. It's above zero. It was -2 when I started this 50 minutes ago. But yeah, it is 1 degree here. And with the windshield factor, well, it's still in the negative. -2 with the windshield factor right now. So the winds are dying down a little bit. But it is 8:51 a.m. Pacific Standard Time where I am. That's on the west coast of the United States. So, wow, heat wave, right, Deb? Over the course of the next 7 days, we don't have a single day where the temperature is going to be above 25 degrees for the next 7 days. Nighttime lows they're calling for a couple of days where double-digit negative temperatures overnight. -77 Celsius with windshield there. Wow. This agrees she must have had some sort of condition to make her do that. I think they involved with her mother. She ever? Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you'd be surprised, and a lot of people do things that are kind of like what Gypsy Rose's mother did. Maybe you're in a relationship that is not as healthy as it should be, and you are enabling that individual to continue to do things that maybe they're destructive, maybe you're enabling them to do things that are not destructive to themselves or to the family unit. People do a lot of things like that, enabling. But her mother took enabling to the stratosphere. And she fed off that. She needed that connection. She needed Gypsy to be sick. She needed people to believe that, and care for her and donate services and money and whatever it was to help Gypsy. And that she thrived. Her entire personality was based on taking care of Gypsy. It is 1652 in England. For all y'all Americans out there that don't know how to read, military time or whatever, 1652. You take 12 minus it from the 16th, so 4:52. Is the time. So anything after 12 o'clock is you add 1. You just continue in the 24-hour clock, military 24-hour clock. A lot of people don't understand that. They're like, what? Why is that? Well, now we know, huh? Lake effect snow. Isn't that fun, Cherry? Isn't that fun? I love lake effect snow. Now, we used to get that all the time back home. Yeah, especially in coming from Canada across Lake Michigan, coming down. in the Great Lakes. It's been a long time since you have updated on your little boy. How is he doing in this weather? He's confused by it. The and that was Debbie. He's confused by it. He doesn't understand it. Henson, as an example, yesterday when it was, I think, 12 degrees outside and it was snowing, he ran outside in his underwear and t-shirt because he wanted to see what it was like, in the snow. He didn't last very long, and he looked at me and he said, "Cold," and then ran back inside. Then he wanted to put on rain boots, his galoshes. Yeah, I actually have galoshes for my son. But he put on his galoshes, no shoes inside of it, just the galoshes themselves, and then ran outside in the snow to see it. I'm like, you got to put on pants and a shirt and a coat. You got to dress for the weather. So confused by it. I mean, but he's 7, right? He's no different than any other child who would they see something like that, they want to see it and experience it. We have two stories polar opposite with Maya and Gypsy Rose. Colleen, good morning. Yeah, Gypsy has served her time. She is free to move on with her life. She has been punished for what her and her former boyfriend, did, the killing of her mother. But I don't know why it keeps on. For some reason, I keep on the chat, at least on my end. It keeps it keeps on putting a box around some of the text. I don't know why it's doing that. People with autism are awesome. When weather changes, it's a sensory perception issue, but I'm more aware of it. I feel the cold more and more sensitive. Well, Gemma, it's also people who are old like me. When the weather gets cold, this old body aches. The joints ache. Everything hurts more. But yeah, it is definitely a sensory perception. With my son, he just wants to experience it. What does it feel like? Cold, hot, all of it. But in tiny little bits. I hope Ryan stays with her in her darkest hour. She's going to have a lot of hard roads ahead of her. Look out for when the temps are below 70, right? Well, it goes to yeah, Mike. It's unforgivable. We're not going to forgive. We don't have to forgive, nor do we have to forget. But at the same time, we should have compassion for what actually transpired in this in the entire thing. I mean, there's never any reason to kill. It don't depend on where you are on, should we have capital punishment or not? Should we forgive or Chad and Lori for what they did to Ty Lee and JJ and Tammy, Charles, Joseph? Should we forgive them for what they did? Is it really our position, here on earth to pass judgment upon them? All depends on where you are on the actual scale of it all. Some people believe that it's not our position to pass final judgment upon people for for the crimes that they've committed. Take a life for a life or an eye for an eye, whatever you want to call it. That they will pay in the afterlife. And then there's this section of people who say, well, we shouldn't do an eye for an eye, and that the final judgment will be in front of their maker in the afterlife, and they will pay for an eternal damnation for what they've done. And then there's a section of people who say, is there really an afterlife after we are done with this vestibule of here on earth? Do we have an afterlife? Is there a heaven? Is there a hell? If Chad and Lori are not punished in this life, if there is an afterlife, will they be punished in that afterlife? Can you be exonerated of all of your sins here on earth, and then still make it into heaven for what you've done, or save your eternal soul from the eternal damnation? If you're forgiven here on this lifely plane. There are people who debate all of those, and I'm to the completely different spectrum of how I feel, but that's not important on how I feel about if there should be capital punishment or not. I believe that there's some people that just have to be punished in this life, and there's some people who have to be punished in this life and in the afterlife, and every other damn chance that they can ever be reincarnated, they need to be punished. I would die before I harmed my mom or dad, no matter what they did to me. Well, sorry. I was wondering what the sound was. It was like, oh, that's my cell phone is over here on the other end of the table, and it vibrated on the table. It's like, oh. I can't believe nobody got to Chad in prison or Christopher Watts. They must be watched carefully. Well, all right, let's take Christopher Watts for instance. Christopher Watts is in what's called a protective custody, housing unit. All of the people who are in his protective custody unit, yeah, sure, they're being watched very closely by guards. But then again, so was Mr. Pedophile Island, over there, in DC. So things do happen in protective custody, but Christopher Watts is in protective custody, and everybody else who is in the protective custody unit that he is in have either similar charges to him. So they're kind of like the trying to. My cat is batting at me. But they have the same similar, likes and dislikes, whatever you want to call that, as him. And there are others who are in that housing unit because they're former law enforcement, or they were, maybe they worked in another, position in life where they need protection from the general population. That makes up the entire housing unit, which is a very small unit, but where Christopher Watts is. So could things happen? Yeah. We know what happened to Jeffrey Dahmer. He was in protective custody as well. These things do happen. Pedo Island, yeah. What's up, Shakespeare? If you want the worst for Chris Watts, then you should want him to serve every second of that life sentence until he runs out and he's wheeled out on a stretcher. Yeah. Yeah. Martin, I have heard that about Christopher Watts as well. But there are also, you have to keep in mind, there are a lot of people who love to spread lies about the man and how his time in prison is going. The very first one that I heard about him becoming all religious behind bars was that Christopher Watts was, the leader of the Christian movement within his housing pod, and that everyone was coming to him for religious services and prayers, and stuff like that, behind bars. It's not true. He may have become a religious fanatic. Again, a lot of people do that, but behind bars, and you got nothing else to do, you might as well turn your hands over to God, especially when you're serving as a sentence where you're never going to get out. Like Christopher Watts is. And thank you for the super chat, Mel. Love you, Will. We really are blessed on this platform. No matter what we're doing, catch you again soon. Well, thank you, Mel. I appreciate that. Wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the great people like Mel and everybody else who tunes in every weekend to listen to me just babble on. Y'all haven't checked out Mel's channel, Mel whatever. You got to go check out her content. In the darkest days, when all of this, this true crime, and because I read about the most depraved things that come across my desk in the news every single. What is my cat doing? I read about the most depraved things that people do to each other, each and every week. And well, Mel always makes me laugh. She brings a smile to this man. Get down. Come on. Scotty, get down. He ain't gonna listen. Now he's on top of the entertainment center. That's the TV, fireplace. Entertainment center is right there. Well, thank you, Debbie. Cat says, not. He's like about 2 feet away from me and straight up. Well, thank you, Gemma. Thank you for supporting autism. Gemma, me and my wife have supported autism and other people with barriers to education since well before our son was ever born. It was something that we volunteered and helped with long before, but now we have more of a connection to especially those who are on the autism spectrum because of our son, and we've learned vastly a lot more about autism in the 7 years, and we have a lot we have a long distance to go, but we're always going to support it because frankly in this world there are a million different things want to divide us in every single direction. And while we're divided, we never see what the other people are doing and what's really going on. We're never going to get along as long as we're divided. As they say, divided, easy to conquer. But thank you. Yeah, and thank you for putting the link in there, Interpeas. I appreciate that. I am a blessed man, Debbie, to have the life that I have, to be able to do this and so much more. It doesn't escape me any day of my life that I'm extraordinarily blessed. And thank you. Cat remembers they are from royalty. Are you royalty? Are you royalty? Huh? Don't look at me like that. I fed you this morning. I did. I may not make it to trivia tomorrow. That cat might kill me. United we stand, divided we fall. Totally agree. We need to stop being divided. Yeah. Well, thank you, Pippa Dot. Fan character bouncing their shaped ponytail at the stars in their eyes. I really appreciate that. Each and every one of you for the super chat. My car is a royal pain. Your car. Yeah, I realized when it gets cold like it is right now, realize just how much you appreciate the little things like that in cars. I probably jump started like 6 neighbors. Well, the neighbor next door did it twice for his car, but the other neighbors a couple of times over the course of the last week. You know, gets cold like this, batteries in your cars stop working because we're not used to temperatures like that. Like back home in Wisconsin, Minnesota, in that area, Iowa, Indiana and stuff like that, in that part of the United States, and the Farm Belt area of the United States, you have engine heaters. A heater that plugs into your oil pan, and then for heating your car, during the wintertime. Some newer cars you don't need to, but most cars you do. And the same thing, you take the precautions with your battery. Here, I mean, like I said, I live in the high desert plateau, and last week, this past week, people were coming out and they're like, their car doesn't start, and of course they call like a service to come jump it, but they're 20-30 minutes out before they can actually get there. I got jumper cables and I can help you jump start your car. Some of these newer cars though, oh boy, do they make it hard on even to figure out how to jump start a car. You open it up and you're like, where the hell's the battery? Will, your friendship means the world to me. Oh, same with me, sweetheart, and all the encouragement you helped me to keep going with the campaigning and your advice I always use to take forward with me. Love you. Well, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate it. Plugged in here. Batteries still dying in the cold. Yeah. Well, it happens. But what we used to do is buy an actual battery box that goes in your engine compartment, plastic or metal box, and then you insulate that, and then your battery goes inside of it, so it helps keep so it doesn't get so cold. But at least that's what we used to do. I mean, maybe it's a farm thing, but and as opposed to a city. I mean, the only major city I've ever lived in was Minneapolis. I lived a little bit. The cat is back. I lived in St. Paul, Minnesota for a little while too. But your car is evil. Is it possessed like evil? Evil? You never know what it's going to do next. Die. Please don't want any electric car. My friend has no problems with his Tesla. Runs perfectly fine in the cold and everything else. The only problem is if it gets down below 32 degrees, he can't charge it, and it tells him right in the owner's manual not to charge the Tesla below a certain temperature, and I think it's 32 degrees. He's not supposed to charge it. So he has to actually bring the car into the garage to charge it when it's below 32 degrees, as opposed to, his driveway. But you can use all the power that is in the Tesla at any temperature. You just can't charge it. But he has regenerative braking, so whenever he's stopping, it's actually regenerating. Putting back power back into the battery pack. He drove this past week. It's been cold as hell, like down in the 20s. He drove 800 miles yesterday, not just yesterday, but in the last 2 days, and then he's coming back 800 miles. He actually had to go to Chicago from his house. He doesn't live here locally, but 800 miles. I mean, they're good for something. I have a Kia. So for all the good bought in 2015 so far, not an issue at all. Do you have a Kia Soul? Just wondering. Oh, thank you, amazing lover. Did you read my book blurb? Yeah, I did. Your email, I responded to it. At least I hope you got my response. Amazing Lover. But yes, it was really good. I liked it. My car has a mind of its own. I think I'm going shopping and end up at the pub. Yep. My mother-in-law has a Kia Soul. She loves that little car. Hers is the whatever the color green it is, Kia Soul, but she loves that thing. The only thing is that with the Kia Souls and the Hyundais is, depending upon where you are, they have a new after it was like part of a recall to actually stop it. So it's harder for these kids to steal them because of the ignition system. Um, and a lot of dealerships are trying to get away from what the actual recall is by just giving you a lock bar for the steering wheel. That's not what the recall was, said that they were supposed to do and what they agreed to. They're just trying to cheap out on the owners of those cars. You want a Kia Soul? Got a Corolla? Hmm. I haven't checked my email in a hot second. Easy to break into, easy to steal. That just like every car out there. I don't care, if and this happened to a lot with the Camaros and these other cars out there. They're like the top of the list for because these are targeting them and joyriding them and having fun with them. But every car has a vulnerability to it. Doesn't matter what car you own. It could be a Corolla. It could be, a Kia. It could be, the newest Camaro. It could be, a 2027, or 2025, whatever number they're on now, Ford F-1, 50. They all have a vulnerability. It's when the individuals find out that vulnerability and then they make videos and they put them out on YouTube. And I'm not joking. You can look up the videos on YouTube of people breaking in, stealing these Kias and these Hyundais and these Camaros, and they show you basically step by step. They're on YouTube, and if they're not on YouTube, they're on TikTok, they're on Instagram. Of them stealing these cars and gone in 60 seconds, and doing whatever they want with them. I mean, hell, I have a '96 Dodge, 1500 second gen. It's a great truck. It has a vulnerability though to steal it. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but if you are a second gen owner of these trucks, and you should know what it is. Yeah, and that's been around since '96. What about the older cars where you can just break in, touch a couple wires, and zoom, away you go? Hondas are easy to steal. They're on the top. A lot of Hondas are on the top of the list, Gala, for theft. If someone wants your car bad enough, they'll get it. Yeah, no, that is absolutely true, Kayla. Callie, Lisa, that is definitely true. Somebody stole your Corvette. I'm sorry. I just read a story about a guy who got his 53. I think it was 53 or whatever. It was like the first year of the Corvette. With the fiberglass body, the 60s, whatever. The thing had been stolen. Like he had it less than a year, and it got stolen, and they just recovered it. They found that it's 100% restored. It doesn't even look like the car that he originally bought. The color's been changed and everything else. And they found the thing in an actual, like a small museum someplace. And this guy is fighting to get the car back. But where the issue is the insurance company paid him off and made him whole back when the car was stolen. But did they file the paperwork correctly that take ownership of the Corvette? And that's what they're going through legal troubles with now. But the car's been gone until just this 2023, I think it was, is when they found the car, and it just happened to be the thieves had taken another VIN tag and put it over the top of the other one, by the windshield on that car. So, I think that's it with it. I might be wrong on that little part, but it was something with the Vintech. They had either taken the other one off and replaced it or something. But they just finally found the car. But his car was originally like two-tone, and this one it was like a jet black, and it had been completely redone and restored inside and out. Somebody put all that money into it, and he's gonna get the benefit of it if they determine that he actually gets to keep the car. Good morning, Reichardt. Welcome to this morning's coffee brew. I hope you are safe and warm. Man, it is hella cold out here on the West Coast where I am. Hope you're able to, find some place safe out there. As you travel the world. So glad to have a garage. I have two garages. One is a two-car garage that was built in 1964, along with this house, my home. And then I have a second garage that was built in 1981. And the one was built in 64, I turned into my studio. I'm warm for now. You're in Victory, Texas. Victoria. Oh, sorry, misread that. Not Victory, Victoria, Texas. The name sounds familiar. I've probably been through there in Texas, either going to or coming from, visiting friends. Your garage is full of junk. My studio, is an actual building inside of a building. The studio is built. It's 4 walls, is built inside of it. So there's 2-car garage. It's two cars wide and 2 cars deep, a garage, and I built a box basically my studio inside of it, and did it illegally. Not only did I do it without a permit, but we built it off-site and then brought it in the back of a pickup truck, and then assembled it all with lag bolts, because I have a homeowners association, and you can't have something like that. So we built it off-site and then brought it in sections, and then put it all together. Like assemble it like a jigsaw puzzle. Well, great. My dad lived there when he was alive. Oh, really? Secret room with garage. Suspect behavior, Will. Well, I couldn't get the homeowners association to agree to allow me to do it. I mean, I guess I could have just, put plywood or something on the walls or paneling on the walls, but me and my friend did it. We did it all in his driveway at his house, the other side of town. Then we loaded up sections that were 6 feet by 6 feet, and brought them into the, by pickup. We did 3 of them, brought them in, drove off, chilled out, then brought in some, some more, and then we brought in the ceiling itself. I'm sure if one of my neighbors is eventually going to narc me off, for the whole thing, I'll deal with it then. But the whole thing can be taken apart just like I put it up. If nothing's permanent. Yeah. We can't do anything. We can't put a gnomes or yard display artwork, anything like that. Can't even put up a wind chime without approval. But you deal with it. There's the negative sides to living in a homeowners association. I'm not a big fan of the fees and the fines. And we've got one that we have to go deal with for $50. a fine for not having a bush appropriately trimmed. Yeah, a hedge bush is not appropriately trimmed, so they fined us $50, and we got to go deal with that. But there's that's the negative side of living in a homeowners association. Then there's the positive sides to it all. I mean, we have the security, we have the community area, park, and stuff like that. That's about a half a block within the actual community away. So it's there. They keep it cleaned and mowed, and so it's one place to go play with. Bring my son and play. Whatever he wants to do, he can kick the ball around. So there's the good things. There's the pool and stuff like that. Yeah, they are. They are, but doing what I do, Gala, the positive is nobody can get here, without going through security at the front. So, we got doxxed before at our old home, and that was one of the reasons why we sold that home and moved here. Is the selling point was you can where when I got doxxed before, this a hole, I won't mention any names, but he posted that I was giving away free iPads and iPhones. And you would be surprised how dumb people are. And they actually showed up at my front door. And I got a lot of people showed up at my front door, looking for the free iPad and the free iPhone. I'm like, who in their right mind would own, besides, Mr. Beast or someone like that, who would be possibly giving away stuff like that? Who the hell is giving away free iPhones and iPads? But I had people knocking on my door all day, night and day, looking for the iPad and iPhone that I was supposedly giving away free to anybody that knocked on my door. But the person who doxed me, they did it just to harass, us. They also tried to get my wife fired, and they posted information about my son's school online. But that happens. But now, where I live, nobody knows where my wife works. They can't get to her work. You can't get to my home, and you can't get to my son's school. We are protected, and of course we had to pay a hell of a lot more for this protection, though. Ice skating on a pool today. No one dropping off snickerdoodles to you. Nope. You can come to the front security gate. And they won't let you in, but they do have a phone there you can pick up and call me if you had the number. And that's what a lot of delivery drivers have to do. Like, delivering a pizza, they pull up, and then either the security guard calls us or the driver themselves has to call us. January 6th, 2021, guys will climb up into your community, Will. Yeah, I'm never dealing with that again. Never going to do it. I shouldn't say this, but I will anyways. The person who doxed me, they're lucky that nobody got themselves seriously injured when they sent those people to my home by posting that. Because, well, I'm a strong supporter of the Second Amendment, and when people started knocking at my door, at 9 o'clock at night, and pulling up in front of my home at all hours of the day and night, thinking that they were going to get something for free, I didn't know what their intentions were. And they're very lucky that most of these people were in their late teens, so they obviously had driver's licenses, 16 on, but they're very lucky that I didn't take their intentions to be, something else. Where somebody else, if they were put in the same situation, you had people knocking on your door at 9 o'clock at night, and ringing your doorbell, knocking, you may not know exactly what their intentions are. And it happened a lot. But I'm going to stay safe. I hope you all can stay safe. Still want those snickerdoodles. And FYI, I looked into what it costs to go to CrimeCon. Holy effing. Just to get a ticket, just a general ticket to CrimeCon. I mean, it might be worth it if they actually tell you what the hell you get for that. But besides, like, you get general admission, you get into, this meeting or this meeting, and that's it. And then all the middle level ones are sold out for this coming year's CrimeCon. And then so there's only like the gold pass and then the basic. It's the only one that they had left. I was like, wow. So many cray people today. Sad to not be able to trust most. That is true. But there's crazy people everywhere. Oh, the snickerdoodles went to inner peace instead. Ah, well. That was close. That close. That's a crime. There's a crime con. Cali Lisa? Yes. Every year. Last year, was last year or this year is in Louisiana, New Orleans. But then it was in Vegas, or it's in Vegas this year. I can't remember. I lose track of where they're at. I've been invited as a YouTube creator to VidCon and to the YouTube conferences, and these other ones. But I'm not into hip hip hooray. I'm not that kind of individual. But it's in Tennessee this year, says Pippadot. So there you go. So yeah, they move it around, year to year where it's at. But I've had my daughter go to VidCon before, but I heard CrimeCon is expensive, not even including the travel expenses. Yeah, that's definitely true, Gayla. Because I looked at it and I was like, well, what would the air flight, hotel, and everything be? And it would be about $2,200 just to go. And that's not counting food or any other expenses that I would have, like, transportation, to and fro, hotel, airport, or whatever else I would need. So in and out, I probably could get it done for about $3,000. What occurs at CrimeCon? And they have like guest speakers, like from everybody from your crime TV shows. Might be a guest speaker. They've had authors like you name it have been to some of these speakers at these events. They've had people from crime and news networks have been guest speakers. They have breakout groups where you can meet creators or rub elbows with those who think that they're better than you. I mean, I'm sure that doesn't happen, but anyways, but stuff like that. Just like it's like a giant convention of people, and the content and everything is around crime. Solving cold cases. Web sleuths has been to quite a few of them, from what I understand. Or I don't know if Trisha herself has been, but quite a few of the people who apparently were in the chat have been to them. People are really into these things, and I don't fault anyone for wanting to go or be part of it. It's just not for me necessarily. I would get more interest out of something like VidCon if it wasn't for the age group of people. Let's just say that I'm over the age of 50. Okay, I think we all pretty much figured that out by now. But when it comes to like VidCon and these YouTube conferences, they're attracting the 16 to 25-year-old, that demographic. I don't have a lot in common with a lot of them. If there was something where they can have like Mr. Balin, or Scott Reich, Reich or whatever, Reich, or however you prefer to pronounce his last name. But Crime Talk, and it could get some of these other creators together, have something like that. I would be interested in going to that, but they don't. Do you have to you either go to this or you go to this or this or this? The guys from Court TV, almost anyone you've seen in 2020 set up real crime scenes of all kinds of meetings. Yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to end the live stream right here. I hear the familiar voice upstairs who is about to come down here, and I am not entirely sure how dressed he will be or how appropriate he will be if I'm doing a live stream. So that is my cue to, rice as in rice-a-roni. If Scott and Mr. Balin went, I'd be there in a hot minute, right? I mean, see Mr. Balin, former Navy SEAL. Scott was in the Marine Corps, just like me. We both have served our country, but I would have more in common with them. I would and add in what Steven from Legal Eagle, or some of these other channels out there. I would definitely I would go to them then if it was VidCon and they could have breakout groups with just those type of creators, but I would find more of them, and I can guarantee it. I would find more of them at SHOT Show, SHOTSHOW, SHOT Show. I would find more of them at SHOT Show than I would at like a VidCon or Crime Con. So, but everybody have a great. You're an Army dog. Thank you for being an Army dog, Rykart. You have a terrific week and stay safe out there on those roads, Rykart. A lot of crazy idiots out there. But everyone, thank you again for tuning in this morning. I hope to see you all tomorrow for trivia. We play live again every Sunday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. That is 7 o'clock on the East Coast of the United States. So, you can judge accordingly to whatever time zone you might be in. So if you're in the UK, use the East Coast time, to figure out what time it is there. But it's no one has to sign in or log in to play. They're all multiple choice questions that are displayed on the screen. So there's a question, there's an actual, 4 possible answers. You can answer either A, B, C, D, or E. But I hope to see you all there. Bye.